So I think we should mention the anomalous educator because I forgot to do that at the top of the show. So tell us a little bit about what not only the podcast is, but what kind of your overarching goal is with the anomalous educator.
So the Anomalous Educator podcast is tied to exactly what I was talking about. It's not a business. Unlike Live Lingua, Twiducate, and the Infinite Upcycle, which are my businesses that I run. The Anomalous Educator, actually, I don't sell you anything. There's nothing there. I mean, it is just a podcast where I interview people who have either started successful online education businesses. It's geared generally towards educators, but educators is such a wide field. I mean, you could be somebody who teaches somebody programming. You could be somebody who teaches another person farming. You're an educator. I'm not only gearing towards, let's say, somebody who's got a certificate from a university to teach in a school. Anybody who wants to educate. That's what I want to do. And it ties into what I was saying before. It is my passion. It's my outlet for that, where I get to help people for free with nothing, not trying to sell them anything, not trying to sell a business, trying to help them for free to help them move online and start an online business, primarily in the education field. The reason I chose that is because most of my businesses are there. And secondly, it's because general entrepreneurship business podcasts, there are a lot of them out there. But sometimes I find that they're very general, and you might, 1 out of 10 episodes might be applicable to you because, your business is selling, I don't know, clothes online, and you listen to an episode about a guy who sells services, and you're like, well, that's not really useful to me. But Anomalous Educator is for online educators. So that's every episode is specifically geared towards you if you're trying to teach either courses, podcasts, whatever it is, but it's all in the education field and mixing that with entrepreneurship.
So first of all, I think you are doing God's work. I praise you for it. It's awesome. It's really so cool. I'm really so proud of you. So I think the two most common reactions, I don't know if you get this, but this is what I imagine a lot of people would think. First, you might have teachers listening to the show who think, oh, this is great, but they can't really do it because they're teachers. They're not entrepreneurs. And then I imagine you have a lot of people say, well, I don't have anything to teach. Would you respond to each of those?
Of course. And actually, that's exactly the gap I'm trying to fill with the podcast. I bring entrepreneurs on and I bring teachers on, and we try to talk about what it took to bridge that gap. So let's start from the teacher end of things. I'm a teacher. I'm not an entrepreneur. That's a fallacy from day one. Because if you're a teacher of any kind, and again, I'm using the word teacher very loosely, which means you're educating other people, you have more skills than most managers, most business people do already in business. You know how to manage people. If you're, let's say, a kindergarten teacher, you are managing people who pee in their pants. Trust me, my employees do not have to pee in their pants. It's something I don't have to deal with. You guys have done that before. Managing an adult is a lot easier than that. Creating plans and executing them, that's what a business person needs to do. That's what a teacher does. Not only on a semester basis where they have the kind of study plan for the semester, but then you guys break it down into days, into weeks. If somebody falls behind, you have ways to kind of pick that up. That's all business. You have all the skills necessary to do it. And the final one is teacher marketing, which is kind of the biggest hurdle I find that teachers run into, because they're like, I hate sales. I can tell you my wife has said that hundreds and hundreds of times.
I've said it this week.
Oh, there you go. You said it yourself. If you're a teacher, you don't actually have to sell per se. You just have to teach the way you're doing it. And if you're passionate about it, people will buy what you're selling. So don't look at it like, hey, I'm tricking somebody into giving me money. If you provide them with something to make their lives better, in the case of you guys, if you're teaching them Portuguese because this person is going to move to Brazil, or if you're teaching them English because the Portuguese speakers are going to move to the United States, but you charge them for it, you have still improved their lives probably way more than whatever it is you charge them for, right? If they went to the US and their whole life changed, that's the way teachers need to look at it. So sales doesn't have to be sales. Just do what you want or do what you love, and the customers will come. Just do not be afraid to charge for your time. What you teach has value. That's a mind shift that you have to go through. As you think, I would teach this for free because I love teaching this so much. I love sharing with people, but it does have value. Just because you would do it for free doesn't mean it's a product that has no worth.
I think especially with teachers just have a tendency to undervalue themselves, at least in Brazil and the US, because society at large doesn't value teachers appropriately. So then a teacher starts an online business and thinks, oh, I should charge $10 an hour.
That's
when in
exactly
reality,
it.
you should charge 40.
And people will pay you 40. If you are good at what you do, people will pay you 40. And the right people. You don't have to cater to everybody, right? I mean, if your personality style is zany and out there, you're not going to, you don't want the students who are very serious, right? That's not it. But don't worry, there are 8 billion people on this planet. I don't remember. Last time I checked.
Yeah. I think we're almost at 8.
Yeah. So how many do you need? 10? 50? 50 students a month, we're paying you $100. That's it. I mean, out of the 8 billion people on this planet, you need to find 50 that like your teaching style. That's not very hard to do. You don't need to sell to all 8 billion of these people. So that's the teacher side of things. So I believe teachers already have it in them. It's, on the podcast, a lot of what I do when I interview teachers who made the transition is talk about that transition because it's a mental transition. It's not really a skill transition. They have the skill set necessary to do it. On the other side is coming from the entrepreneur side. And I'll be honest, that's the harder side because a lot of people who come in, let's say you have a business background or an engineering background, and you say, I have nothing to teach. First, that's incorrect as well because you can teach what you were doing. The challenge comes in is how to teach. We think teaching's easy. Trust me, I have been in the education field now, coming from engineering and moving to education. I had thought the same thing. I'm like, how hard could it be? You just go in front of people and you tell them what to, you tell them a few things, they do it. No. Teaching is the science. If you want to get into online teaching, start is number one. Just do it.
Yes.
I would recommend if you're really going to do it at first, just do it for free. Whether you use the venue of a podcast, get together a free pilot group and just run, a course for about 8 weeks. You can charge a small nominal amount just to make sure you don't get people who are just kicking the tires. But you're not going to be making very much because you need to learn how to teach. There are books out there as well. So I have interviewed at least in 2 episodes of The Anomalous Educator. Go and look for those episodes. I don't have the numbers in front of me for the episode numbers about course design. That is a science. There are people who have their masters and PhDs in this thing.
Instructional design.
Instructional design, exactly. It's not just, hey, whatever I feel like teaching today. There's a methodology to it. You start, by outlining the goals of the course, and you actually end it in the same way, and then you kind of go into the different steps in between. There's about 7 steps. In a very loose way, there's about 7 steps in course or instructional design. And then you break down with syllabus and all the rest of it. I'm not going to say it's hard, but it takes practice. I mean, literally, you could read a book on it in a few days, and you would understand the basic concepts. But until you get into a classroom and you see the effects of your decisions when you're designing the course, you're not really going to understand what you did. In your head, it sounds wonderful, but you're going to realize, wait, people aren't getting step 2. And then you have to tweak and make some changes and all the rest of it. So if you're coming from a non-education background, I think it's actually harder to become an entrepreneur. So teachers have it easy compared to the rest of us where we have to learn this stuff, but it's totally learnable.
Yeah, that's my big point is it's learnable. And I think the easiest way to learn it is by doing it. So I come
100%.
from a teaching background. And this week, actually, we are releasing the 5th version of our pronunciation course. So I've changed a lot of it, like every 6 months, because students aren't like doing what I thought they would do. But each time we learn a lot.
It looked good on paper, right? The first time you wrote it down, you're like, nah, I got this. I mean, it was, and then you apply it, and then, it's what's that? The whole Lao Tzu's saying where, battle plans last until the first clash or something like that, and then suddenly you just throw them out the window. Teaching is kind of like that as well.
Yeah, I think Mike Tyson said, like everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
That's a little more eloquent, I think, than the other one. But yes.
Well, Ray, you were certainly very inspiring for educators, online entrepreneurs, me in general.
Thank you.
Travelers. I know that you have a 7-month-old baby.
7-week-old. Not even
7-week-old.
7 weeks. It'll be 8 next Friday. So yeah.
Yeah, we did not talk 7 months ago.
Exactly. 7-week-old.
So I don't want to take too much of your time today, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners are interested in what you're doing. Do you have the best place for them to find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so generally, I might even be dating myself for this. Facebook is the best place, or LinkedIn are the 2 best places to get in touch with me. Everybody's like, what's your Pinterest or Instagram account? I'm like, sorry, I don't know. My business
My
is all
MySpace account is?
I actually had a MySpace account. That's how me dating myself. I used to have one, and what was it, Friendster, I think. I used to have one of those as well. But Facebook and LinkedIn are the 2 places that you can get in touch with me on social media. Otherwise, go to theanomalouseducator.com. and you can actually just hit the contact us page. It comes directly to me. There's no assistant, there's no firewall. That'll come directly to me. If you go to my businesses, livelingua.com, which is an online language school, you can contact through that, but that will go through our call center. They will get it to me, but it'll take a few more days. Same thing applies to my online marketing agency, the Infinite Upcycle. You can email us there. It will get to me, but it will go through our sales team first. So Anomalous Educator would be the easiest, or on social media.
Yeah. And I would encourage, first, we'll put all of that in the show notes because a lot of these things are a little bit hard to spell for English learners. But yeah, I would really recommend people checking out the Anomalous Educator, Live Lingua, Infinite Upcycle. Ray's a very open and generous guy.
I try. Well, thanks, Foster.
Yeah. Thank you, man. We will talk to you guys soon.